Proposing a spending plan can be one of a governor's toughest jobs. But with the higher than expected revenues coming in, coupled with federal dollars easing the financial strain, Governor J.B. Pritzker is using it as an opportunity as he heads into a re-election battle. Amanda Vinicky joins us now from Springfield with a rundown. Amanda.
Yeah, Brandis, as you noted, this was an atypical speech, and not just because it wasn't held in this building like it usually is. Rather, it was at the old state capitol, where actually President Abraham Lincoln served when he was an Illinois lawmaker. Today, only a handful of legislators in the audience, but no matter. As Pritzker himself said, this is one of the biggest forums, most public forums a governor can have, and, well, Pritzker took full advantage of it.
When I was first elected, I pledged to budget responsibly and with a focus on reducing burdens on working families. I'm proud to say this proposed fiscal year 2023 budget plan does just that.
This is a plan that spends $45-something billion, and still, the governor says, is going to leave Illinois with something we don't often have, a surplus of $1.7 billion. That, even as it does give modest increases to education, to violence prevention programs, including a new one that will serve as gang witness protection, and then also not only pays the state's legally required contribution to the underfunded pension programs, that's a contribution of $9.6 billion, but then adds another $500 million to that.
Responsible fiscal management is yielding substantial savings, unburdening our state from the anchor that has weighed us down for far too long.
I'm not sure that pensions are really going to perk the interest of many people other than perhaps credit ratings analysts, government insiders, and, well, those who are waiting to get that retirement benefit. But here is something that I bet will perk up the ears of Illinois residents, aka voters, and that is that Pritzker plans to give a series of one-time tax breaks. That includes healthcare workers not having to pay licensing fees for this fiscal year, keeping flat the tax on gasoline when it is supposed to go up by 2 cents a gallon, and removing a 1% tax on groceries. Again, that would just be for 1 year, saving families, well, about $1 per $100 that they spend on food. These moves are earning praise from Pritzker's fellow Democrats, but Republicans, including those who are running for governor, call these gimmicks that are tailor-made for Pritzker's re-election campaign. We had one of those candidates, and that is downstate entrepreneur Jesse Sullivan, saying that Pritzker is, quote, attempting to bribe voters with fake tax relief. You do also have some powerful interests, including some of those that typically get along with the governor pushing back. Those gas tax dollars, that is, are supposed to pay for road repairs, and that means that road repairs will be shorted through this tax relief by $135 million. The local operating engineers 150 union says that that is not responsible. Only a week ago, we saw a bridge collapse in Pennsylvania, and there are currently more than 2,000 structurally deficient bridges in Illinois, the union said in a statement. Our state is only beginning to make progress on this, and now is not the time to start writing IOUs for our critical infrastructure. The head of the Illinois Chamber of Commerce shares that concern as well as others. President Todd Meisch says that these small bits of tax relief are not going to materially help people.
Chicken feed being sprinkled around to different areas. I don't think the grocery tax relief is going to be that meaningful. It's a good impetus, but it's not going to be that meaningful, and even less so on the gas tax. When it's 2 cents on $3.40 a gallon, what difference does that make? Let's go ahead and put that all into property tax relief and sustain vital investment in our transportation infrastructure.
Now, Meisch is alluding there to another one-time offer of tax relief. Some 2 million households would be eligible for a maximum property tax refund of $300. But Meisch points out that that leaves out those who rent. Also, it leaves out businesses, including local businesses that are members of the chamber. He says that Pritzker should include businesses in this property tax relief plan and then also offer property tax savings that will last for after the governor's race is over. Now, how much room is there for negotiation in all of this? Well, it is early in the budget negotiations process. Here's Pritzker.
What a self-indulgent position the Cynics take, always opposing what's in the best interests of the people of Illinois if they think it will advance their political standing. It's a curious position, but then again, there have long been people in Illinois state politics who have cared more about promoting their own propaganda than they do about what's best for your pocketbooks. During this budget cycle, especially, seats at the grown-up table will be off limits to those who aren't working in the public's best interests.
Republicans say that does not sound to them like an invitation to compromise. They are particularly keen on negotiating an anti-violence package. There's a whole lot more in this, but for now, Brandis, sending it back to you.
Amanda, thank you. And of course, we'll see you in a bit to talk more about this during our Spotlight Politics.